Today, we're going to the mainland. The Fighters Guild needs our help, and JB Noise is the only one who could bring it. I wasn't terribly creative with the name. Check it out, he looks just like me. Oh, no, he has blue paint on his face. Since we'll be helping out the mainland's Fighters Guild, I figured I'd go outside my comfort zone with this build. Nord with Axe and Shield and Lady Birthsign. So novel. We've explored the Abyssinian Shore in a video earlier this year, and like that mod, Tamriel Rebuilt aims to create a version of Tamriel that's consistent with the established lore as of 2002. The team has been working on this stuff since the release of Morrowind, if you can believe it, for over 2 decades. They've been gradually adding to the map, and even though they have a fair bit left to cover, they've already exceeded the amount of content that's in the base game. Tamriel Rebuilt is amazing. And huge. It's about time we explored it in a video. At least some of it. We'll also be running with the Mercy Combat Overhaul mod. It gives combat a little more flavor. Enemies won't just stand still and swing. Instead, they actually strategize and adapt to your playstyle, and will sometimes surrender and hand over their loot if they think it's a losing fight. Makes things a little more interesting. Not super significant to the actual outcome of the Fighters Guild quests or anything, but it just, I don't know, makes playing the game more fun for me. Alongside that is the Hit and Miss Indicator mod that adds floating combat text for melee. Tells you what your hit chance is if you miss, and how much damage you did if you hit. The plan is to do all of the Fighters Guild quests on the mainland without returning to Vardenfell. Moth. Tip bug. But the first thing we do when we arrive in Old Ebonheart is the same thing we do when we arrive in Balmora. Steal everything we can. The city is full of shops, and plenty of them have cozy little cubbies tucked away from the prying eyes of the merchants and the guards. It's not a huge profit, but it's profit. With the gold we made by stealing from Immerek Giordane, we buy a pair of gloves from Immerek Giordane. The glove of the Cosmic Door Jam, and the glove of the Cosmic Doorknob. One casts Mark, the other casts Recall. I grabbed a pair of pants too. They boost personality and speechcraft by 5 points each for 30 seconds. Maybe they'll come in handy, I don't know, but they were cheap, so I grabbed them. Speaking of pants... It is I, narratively spurious cyborg from the future, a throwaway bit that's somehow managed to last longer than I anticipated. Not really a throwaway at that point. Today's video is sponsored by a familiar name on this channel, Into the AM, a team of artists and creators who see clothing as a canvas for expression. Along with a wide selection of these comfortable graphic tees, they've recently rolled out a line of stretch denim. Here we go. Oh, my fly is down, how embarrassing. Doesn't matter how good you look if you're not comfortable, which is why this stretch denim is my new go-to for casual dress. These jeans have that classic denim style, but their 97.3 cotton elastane blend lets the fabric move with you without constricting you, and they're really soft. If you'd like to get your hands on some of Into the AM's graphic tees or new stretch denim, you can get 10% off by using the link in the description or pinned comment, or by using promo code JBN at checkout. And for the sake of transparency, like before, we do receive a small commission for purchases made using our link. Thanks again to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Also, I guess this kind of implies that I'm the one making this video. We pick up a mortar and pestle from Nerusia, not because we plan on power leveling alchemy, but because having at least 15-ish would be convenient. We can't see potion effects without that level, and being able to see what the thing you're drinking does is, I mean, that's just a good thing. Joining the Fighters Guild at the Old Ebonheart chapter gives us access to their supply chest, which offers a helpful selection of helpful potions, but also more junk for us to sell, like arrows. For a weapon, we'll start with the humble silver war axe. It's not as durable as the equally as strong steel war axe, but it can hit ghosts in Daedra without having to be enchanted. We take a silver spear too. Spear isn't one of our major or minor skills, so we can use it to net a few extra endurance attributes in between level ups. Our Fighters Guild journey will begin in the largest Indoril settlement of the Mephalon Vale region, Akamora. I love me a city built into a ravine. Our first set of orders is simple. Another member of the guild, Hosgub Gro Hazor, was sent to deal with a group of brigands hiding out in a cave called Serenacid. But Hosgub's been gone for a minute, and Amiro is beginning to worry. He would like us to take over Hosgub's task and see if we can't find the orc. Amiro suggested we stop by the In-Between Inn and ask the publican there if he knows anything about the orc's whereabouts. But once we arrive, we find Hosgub safe and sound, relaxing in the inn itself. He says he wasn't given the appropriate equipment to deal with the brigands. They're holed up in that cave really well, with locked doors and archer sentries and everything. But Amiro was treating this like a routine pest control problem. Hosgub refuses to go back to the cave, so it's up to us. If you watched Chipmunk's adventures in the Abyssinian Shore, you'll remember me mentioning that Project Tamriel and its sister endeavor, this, Tamriel Rebuilt, can be a bit spotty with their frame rate, especially in big cities. but you may have noticed this footage is much smoother. I got a new CPU since that video, went from a 9700K to a 14700K. Is that how you would say it? 14700? I've only ever seen it written down. Whatever. It provides more resources for OpenMW, and I believe eliminates a slight bottleneck that my GPU is having. The nitty gritty doesn't matter though. We got bandits to kill.
Fool! You're only delaying the inevitable.
The Mercy mod does add some generative AI voice lines. I'm not big on them. I just really like the behavioral changes the mod adds. Hosgub mentioned having to pick a lock while being shot at by a crossbowman, and this is a level 70 lock, so there's little we could do about that, even if we had lockpicks. Maybe there's something down this hole? Skeleton. Why in the world would someone throw a dead body down here? We have an ancient wooden chest down here too, but it's shut with a level 20 lock. Really should have brought lockpicks and Rising Force potions, because I'm stuck down here. We recall out, returning to Amiro, and take a Mage's Guild teleport back to Old Ebonheart. I'm sure there's a vendor in Akamora that sells lockpicks, but I know exactly where to find them in Old Ebonheart. The Empress Cataraya Tavern, the headquarters of the city's Thieves Guild. Igolf the Mute sells restocking journeyman lockpicks and probes, and Polody Floin, back in Akamora's Mage's Guild, sells Rising Force potions. We can't buy too many though, gold's a bit tight. We'll sort that out later. Back to Seranasid. The key for that door is probably in the pit, maybe inside the ancient locked chest. Would make that door's lock pretty damn old, but it's worth checking. 110 gold. Nice. Mazte, could be useful. And another Rising Force potion. To escape, I presume. Oh wait, we could just levitate over the blockade. What am I doing?
You make this too easy.
I don't know why I just assumed Akamora's Fighters Guild quests were going to be geared for fresh players. If anything, it would have been Old Ebonheart, since that's the first place you go to. The Mercy mod might be contributing to the trouble though, admittedly.
Mercy! Please, I beg you!
Okay, one dude surrendered. We'll finish him off shortly. This guy ran out of bolts, so all he's got is his fists. Fool doesn't even have a dagger.
Go ahead, I'm waiting.
Excellent, armor. Holy moly! Is this what it's like being an NPC fighting a player? Jeez, that was rough. Gold, Dwarven Spear, neat. Dwemer Boots and Bracers. And a mage with what looks like a burden spell. Those are always annoying.
I've trifled with you long enough.
Get more magic next time, dork. Oh wait, you can't. You're dead. That mage was the last of the brigands. Our job here is done. We return to Amiro for a reward of 400 gold and a new job to carry out. Lalalvo, the guild master of the Akamora chapter, would like us to go to the Shrine of Hindsight and kill Tedral Drarin. Open-air temple shrines are typically unguarded, and this makes traveling pilgrims easy pickings for bandits. Tedral has set up a little camp near the shrine and must be dealt with. How do you think the pay structure works in the Fighters Guild? Someone contracts them to complete a task, pays a fee, and the guild member who fulfills the task gets a payout. But how much of the gold do you think gets taken by the guild itself? What do you think the guild charges? Obviously, it varies based on the difficulty of the job. But if it's so ludicrous, then somebody of modest means, like the proprietor of the in-between, probably wouldn't be able to foot the bill, so it can't be that costly. What I'm wondering, is the 400 gold we got from that last task a large portion of the initial payout, or does the guild take a massive cut before paying us? How much did the client actually pay? What if I recruited my own fighters and sent them off to complete these tasks, paying them a fraction of what the guild pays me? Oh, and they can get their own recruits as well. It'd be like a reverse funnel. Yeah, my first investor, and he has a friend. A Velo. Why? Who is this? Necrom Indoril Quiris. That's pretty good. I'm gonna take it. This guy obviously killed an Ordinator since he's missing more than half the set, but who am I to judge? Swiping that Adamantium Morax too. It's technically a normal weapon, so it's got limited use, but it's pretty strong nonetheless. Tedral's got the high life, killing pilgrims and living in a cave. Who could ask for more? But we've got a job to do. That glass sword is gonna sell for a pretty penny. Ooh, Orcish Greaves. Not heavy armor, but decent armor nonetheless. Let's take a look at this shrine while we're here. See what's so special. Huh. Neat. Back at the guild, we report to Amiro and collect our reward. This wasn't an official contract, so the reward isn't just raw gold. It's the Talisman of Perseverance. Fortify attack, fatigue, and strength by 5, 10, and 2 points each. At low weapon skills, attack is probably the best stat you can get. It's only 5 attack, but that's 5% more accuracy. Now we've got an ethical dilemma. Viveli Sennim, a member of one of Akamora's noble families, contracted the Fighters Guild to return a pair of runaway slaves. Hilkur and Lagira fled from the Auriel Sennim egg mines, and Amiro, a citizen of the Empire at heart, and legally, he would like us to fail at finding them. Lalalvo, the guildmaster here in Akamora, would rather we execute the contracts as requested, even if it goes against the values of the Empire. The Imperial presence here in Akamora is already unwelcome enough, and she'd rather not do more to upset their standing in the city. We've got a choice to make. Either help the slaves, or return them to the mines. If we go against Lalalvo, and she finds out, she won't give us any more quests going forward. So we're gonna do the contract as specified. Sorry, Amiro. Let's sell this glass sword first, though. Iela Freebear in Old Ebonheart has a decent gold supply. Lalalvo, when we speak to her about the absconded slaves, believes this contract is a test of loyalty for the guild. It's not a task one would typically outsource to the guild, so there must be ulterior motives afoot. Or perhaps Lalalvo is just paranoid. She suggests we start by speaking with the mine's overseer, Narsula Zuls in the Auriel Sennim egg mine. According to her, not only did the 2 slaves flee, but they took the key to their slave bracers with them. Letting a copy of that key float around out there is something she'd prefer not to have to worry about. Really, it seems the slaves are secondary. That key is important. That's the master key that can unlock any slave's bracers. In the nearby Tyrannat Paris egg mine, we bribe Urvona Nathani and she reveals she saw an Argonian and a Khajiit running west up the hill. It's a dead end, so Urvona didn't assume they were trying to escape. We find, inside a tiny shack atop the hill, an Argonian and a Khajiit, the fleeing slaves.
What do you want?
It's here we have a choice to make. We can promise to bring them to safety, but instead turn them over to the mine overseer. We can promise to bring them to safety and actually get them away from Akamora. Or we could be honest and tell them we're going to bring them back to the mine. We decide to tell them the truth. Hilkur, the Argonian, resigns to his fate, but Lajara, the Khajiit, refuses to live life as a slave and attacks. Such a shame. Poor Lajara. This is a cruel world. A heartless place. Morrowind is brutal. Oh cool, level up. Strength, intelligence, and endurance. I did some alchemy training the last time we were in Old Ebonheart, so that's where the extra intelligence attributes came from. We drop Hilkur off at the mine entrance and hand off the key to the overseer. Amiro is disappointed with our choice, and I don't blame him, but we got 1,000 gold out of it. He's got no more duties for us, instead pointing us to Lalalvo, who was more than proud that we put professionalism over ideology. I just wanted more quests, but alright. After advancing us to the rank of apprentice, then journeyman, and finally swordsman, she tasks us with tracking down and killing an assassin, Olmu Lendu. She had tried killing Ceres Andarin, head of the Andarin family, but she was sloppy, and the family managed to not only identify her, but locate her as well. Oh, also, she didn't actually kill the guy, so very sloppy. She's hiding out somewhere in Necrom. The trouble is, we can't kill her in Necrom. Necrom is a sacred city. Any Dunmer spilling blood in the City of Ghosts would be sacrilegious in and of itself. But a member of an Imperial guild? That's unthinkable. Lalalvo thinks it's another test. How will these Outlanders handle this task? Will they respect tradition, or strong-arm their way into completing the contract? Necrom, City of Ghosts. Imagine how hard it must be to keep this place clean. Vardenfell has a volcano constantly spewing ash storms, and the Dunmer don't even have a prophesied power washer to deal with it. Greetings, noble Ordinator. Do you know where I can find—
Let fire consume thee.
Whoa. Oh, right. I'm wearing Ordinator armor. The Ordinators hate that. Let's take that off for now. Rethan Elodril here says that Olmu Lendu may be found in the refuge of St. Aurelor among the other repentant ill reputes. Although the patron saint of tanners and miners, St. Aurelor is known for having been a condemned criminal who repented by making a great pilgrimage on his knees. There was a time in the real world when some of the most devout people would wear uncomfortable clothing as a form of penance. There might still be some dedicated individuals performing these very acts to this day. It's like self-flagellation, but way less metal. Some of these garments would be made of coarse hair, thus hair shirts. Because St. Aurelor absolved his sins through suffering, his most famous relic is the hair shirt of St. Aurelor, which is one of the artifacts you find during the temple questline in the base game. We find Olmu, and she explains the reason she didn't succeed in killing Ceres Andarin is because a pair of supernatural hands interfered. They steered her dagger away, and then guided her to this very monastery. She offers the 1,000 gold payment she had received and asks we deliver it to Sarah Sandarin to show the sincerity of her repentance. But as was the case with the fleeing slaves, we've got a job to do. Lunara Hlas, a priest in the refuge, tells us that Olmu uses the early hours before dawn to visit a shrine, perhaps a shrine outside Necrom. We wait until 4 a.m. and tail Olmu all the way out of the city. When she stops at the Shrine of the Lovers to pray, we launch the attack. She doesn't even fight back. The Lalvo gives us 600 gold and a right gauntlet of blinding rage. It fortifies our strength and speed by 20 points each for 20 seconds, but also half blinds us for 20 seconds. Not worth it. The Lalvo has nothing left for us until the rank of Protector, but Circus Leonis does have some orders for us to carry out. First, we have to find a missing ledger for Clyberis Kalata, a trader staying at the Laughing Goblin Inn. It's not terribly interesting. We ask the nobles around the city, bribing them for higher disposition, until Darius Varan reveals that he had his slave, Raspanji, steal it for him. We speak with her, receive the ledger, and return it to the trader. I also found an adamantium helm on a pedestal in the Varan Manor. It's just sitting here. It's mine now. Next, Circus would like us to deliver a package. At the Tomero Manor, we find Galdalior, who gives us a spellbook to deliver to the Garrus egg mine. The miners keep getting diseased, and rather than sending scrolls and potions to the miners, he'd rather they just cure themselves. I love the environments in Tamriel Rebuilt. They nailed the aesthetic without just copying cells from the base game. It feels fresh without looking out of place. They understand the spirit of Morrowind perfectly.
Mathera.
I swear lasers are about to shoot out of this guy's eyes. Let's just give him the package and... Wait, hope you didn't have too much trouble with Dredrea? There were Dredrea on the way here? I didn't see any. Lucky us, I guess. And that's the final job from Circus. There's nothing else for us in Akamora, not until we reach a higher rank. So let's move on to another city and get back here in a bit. Old Ebonheart. Probably should have started here, to be honest. I assumed these quests would be tougher than Akamora's. Not sure why. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe the first quest in Akamora was just really rough. Sharnoga Gramal is the head of the Old Ebonheart chapter of the guild, and as a first job, she'd like us to cure Fetus's curse. Yeah, I can't think of any other way to pronounce that name. It's Fetus. After returning from his last mission, he started babbling nonsense to anyone who tried speaking with him. Sharnoga recommends we get him an exclusive Restore Willpower potion. That'll cure the curse, obviously. We pop into the nearby alchemist, grab the potion, and force it into Fetus's dumb face. The potion seems to have done something enough for him to tell us that he was indeed cursed by the witch Margaya Sikora. He failed to slay her and barely escaped with his life. She's out east of Old Ebonheart, beyond Serenthul, in the cave of Git in the mountains. That's all Fetus can say before the curse reasserts itself, leaving him speaking rude nonsense once more. This is a neat area.
Anytime now.
Jesus, Margaya, you look exhausted, but not aggressive. How's it going? Margaya explains that she's not a witch. She's an alchemist. After Fetus trundled into her cave, knocking over her ingredients and tracking mud all over the place, she placed a Daedra named Valban inside him. A curse. So, she kinda is a witch. To evict the Daedra, we need to force yet another potion down Fetus's mouth. Sikora's Uncursing Potion. Her naming convention is quite creative. We give Fetus the potion, and a Daedra emerges from his open mouth, a Vermai. They're from Battlespire. Tamriel Rebuilt incorporates a lot of the lesser-known lore from the lesser-played games. It's a cool design. Reminds me of the Cloverfield monster. Although the curse is now cured, Fetus won't reveal who placed the contract on Margaya. Not until the job is done. We have to kill Margaya. Or she could give us her broom as proof of her demise. But Fetus is a seasoned warrior. I don't think he'll buy it. He bought it. Rathis Medalval, a fellow member of the guild, tells us who placed the hit on Margaya. And although we don't have to pass this information on to the so-called witch, we do anyway because we're such a kind person. She'll give us training in alchemy if we want. Now that he's back to normal, Fetus would like to send us out on some missions. The first, dealing with rats at Aurelia Draconis' house. Fighters Guild and their rats. Always with the rats.
Zenithar's fortune to you.
That is not a rat. Aurelia is a bit off. She's been using Winnie, the Velk in the back, to sweeten her tea. You see, Velk produce nectar, and that nectar is typically used to create holy booze. It's not weird, it's just a Morrowind cow. Consuming secretions from various animals isn't weird. You just gotta make sure you consume the right ones, otherwise it is weird. She's only using Winnie for this because Ginnar Dolvi raised his sugar prices. Import taxes, you know how it is. If we pay her 500 gold, she promises to get rid of the Velk. A good thing too, because I'm pretty sure it's illegal to actually own one. The Indoril are very protective over their Velk nectar. As a reward, Fetus gives us a shitty mace, Rat Smasher. But we're actually not done with Aurelia. Now she's seeing ghosts. It's probably actually rats this time. Oh, it is a ghost. It demands to know why it was summoned, by an Outlander woman no less. She drinks the sacred nectar, and we smell like Velk. We must be responsible. The ghost attacks, but it's a regular ghost, so it dies again. The ghost acknowledges our zeal, and does recognize the potency of Aurelia's spirit channeling ability. He tells us to escort her to the town of Dondril and to speak with the Indra Lord there, who will then arrange transport for her to Roadir. Her talents must be utilized. The trip to Dondril isn't too exciting. Aurelia is a bit of a chatterbox, but it's nice to have company sometimes. Hetman Nalis Varo thanks us for bringing Aurelia here with a generous 10 gold reward. I can't help but feel like Aurelia has no idea what's happening, but I'm not one to argue with the spirits. Fetus gives us 600 gold and points us back to Sharnoga for more duties. When we dropped off Aurelia, she had made a passing comment about her great something or other, Uncle Constantius. Now, Sharnoga just so happened to find an old contract placed by an influential family to retrieve the remains of their ancestor, Constantius. He died somewhere in Morrowind, so that narrows it down a bit. Aurelia had mentioned a cave called Manumnabi. Aurelia had mentioned a cave called Manumnabi when we were back in Dondril. That's a better lead than anything else we got. It's south of Old Ebonheart, along the banks of the Thir River. Ah, what a beautiful day on the Thames. I mean, the Thir. It's way too sunny to be the Thames. Manumnabi is an abandoned cave filled with wildlife, mostly. Nyx hounds. Not too much trouble. But we find alcoholic drinks scattered about, and a small camp of sorts with a note atop one of the crates. It details the journey of the author, Constantius, and his traveling companion, Lenwyn Baratar. The two were on a quest tailing a wretched mage named Aramak, but the trail's since gone cold. After settling down for the night, they ran into a pilgrim en route to Necrom. This pilgrim, who had lost use of both of their arms in a childhood accident, asked to travel with the two, for company. Constantius took no umbrage with this. He finished his letter by remarking about the terrible bindings of his journal. It seems we may find more pages, somewhere. The note did mention where the group was heading next, but the text is smudged and illegible. Sharnoga suggests we ask around the Imperial Library and see if anyone can make heads or tails of it. Although she can't be sure, Capia Hegateria believes the smudged location is referring to Teknil Ashel Shulpi, based on the graphology or whatever. It's a Daedric shrine, and it'll have angry cultists. Excellent news. We're in need of a good fight. Oh, what's this? A flying crab? Ooh. A dust beetle. I swear, everything in Morrowind is bugs. Even Yagran Bagarn, Master Crafter and Tamriel's Last Living Dwarf, is bugs. Or at least a spider. And I don't need no pedants being all pedantic. I don't need them bugging me. Spiders is bugs, okay? Does the base game have any Daedric swines? Does the base game have any Daedric shrines in swamps? This feels very different for some reason. Adad Shashanamu might fit the bill, but that's more of a coastal swamp than a swamp. There's probably an ecological term distinguishing the two. What is a coastal swamp an Everglade, and a swamp is a marsh? I don't know. What is... The first trumpet? Yikes, Winged Twilight. Already? Another note! The adventuring party passed through here, slaying Daedra along the way. Even the pilgrim, disability notwithstanding, was formidable in combat. But it seems Lenwyn has grown more aggressive recently. The pilgrim says it's because Lenwyn is secretly jealous of Constantius. Odd. Before arriving in Necrom, Constantius writes that they'll be making an excursion into a Dwemer ruin just near the city to the northwest. Of course, Sharnoga would like us to investigate, but first awards us with an Amulet of Great Tides, which comes with 2 effects based on how we wear it. We'll get back to that a bit later. It's not all that great to begin with anyway. The only Dwemer ruin near Necrom is Mazungleft, so that's our next destination. We should stock up on some potions before we leave Old Ebonheart though. Health potions specifically, since I could brew my own fatigue potions on the cheap at the city bakery. You know, on the one hand, I love that levitation makes navigating the world much easier, but on the other hand, I feel like I might be missing out on interesting environments if I take the shortest path rather than the intended path. These ruins are bumpin'. We got steam centurions, Dwemer spiders, centurion archers, a ghost, and even a hole in the wall that you'll probably miss if you weren't already aware that you could crawl through some holes in walls. Toward the end of the ruin awaits another steam centurion and another steam centurion's dad. Nothing wrong with a little bit of performance enhancers. We even leveled up. Cool. I'm in no rush to get 100 endurance, but I keep getting knocked down, but then I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. But we should probably still think about allocating some agility attributes. Maybe we'll buy some sneak training when we get back to the guild. Beyond the Centurions, we find 2 ancient skeletons with a note in one of their hands, written in blood. Betrayed by L, but I got L. Ah, Death Note. Seems we found Constantius. 2 whole skeletons should fit in our backpack just fine. I have one with me at all times, actually. In real life, too. I barely notice it. Actually, I'd probably be more aware of my possession of a skeleton if for some reason I became dispossessed of said skeleton. Or maybe I'd be aware of that for a moment and then I'd be died. Their weapons should be important too. An ancient adamantium battle axe and a steel tanto with the initials LB carved into the hilt. Sharnoga is pleased we found Constantius' remains, but the circumstances surrounding his death are indeed odd. She sends us to the Mages Guild. Someone matching the description of their traveling companion had actually joined the guild some years ago. Kamara was her name, and Celatara says there's a copy of part of her manuscripts here in this very guild hall. Reading this excerpt suggests Kamara was prolific in illusion magic, and she used a pair of traveling barbarians to test her long-term frenzy spell. I think we know who those barbarians were. Sadly, justice can never come. Kamara is long dead, but at least the mystery has been solved. As payment, Sharnoga offers us Constantius' very own axe, something I'm sure his family wouldn't want at all. We collect the axe, now called Unending, from the guildsmith in the basement. It seems like it would have a unique enchantment, but it actually has no enchantment. But it does have an effect, I think. A variable effect that changes based on certain conditions. I don't know what they are, though. UESP doesn't say anything specific. I know this is a mod, but UESP has a ton of documentation for Tamara Rebuilt. Regardless of the effect, it's a really strong axe. 15 to 65 damage on chop. And remember I mentioned buying sneak training for agility attributes? Domashir over here has us covered. Sharnoga promotes us to the rank of Protector, and that means we can return to Akamora and finish up Lalalvo's duties. The Tolomas family has hired the guild to provide them with bodyguards. Pilu Tolomas fears that she and her husband are in danger. They want to flee Akamora, but worry they'll be easy targets if they don't have some hired muscle with them. We're to go to their manor as soon as possible. Circus Leonis should be there when we arrive. Greetings, Madame Tolomas. I'm here to keep you and your family safe. Uh-oh.
Seize him!
Damn it, Circus, you clown.
I'm being attacked. Help! There is no escape!
Shit, they got Pilu too. Well, I hope they paid in advance. Might as well swipe some of Circus's armor, he won't need it. A client dying under the protection of the Fighters Guild ain't a good look. The only way to salvage this, Lalalvo says, is to discover who placed the hit and deal with them ourselves. The city guard won't help us with this, lest the delicate balance between the noble families be upset by an accusation. Even though the captain of the guard is Lalalvo's own sister, she cannot provide us with any official assistance. But Flausa might throw us a little something off the record. She has 3 possible suspects: the Indaran family, their Veri family allies, and finally Solari Danaran, a former Indaran hireling with a personal grudge against Pilu Tolomas. I wonder who it could be. Novus Senum, employer of the Tolomas family, blames no one but our incompetent guild. I'd blame the assassins, but whatever. He suggests we speak with the Morag Tong. This clearly wasn't their doing, but if anyone knows about unsanctioned murders, it'd be them. A member of the Tong, Federal Verothram, claims to not be a rat, but everyone has a price. His happens to be like 30 gold. Because the job was done so sloppily, the lowlives couldn't have been hired by one of the noble families. Hitmen aren't something you want to cheap out on, unless you couldn't afford anything better. The noble families could afford something better, so it probably wasn't them. That former Indaran hireling, however, we're going to need some evidence before we confront her. Word around town is that Solari Danaran is an expert in illusion magic. She would use invisibility spells on herself and her associates while spying on the Senums. It was Pilu herself who blew her cover, ending her career. We've got a motive. Confronting Solari and merely stating how she could have committed the crime is enough to enrage her into combat, thereby proving that she is indeed guilty.
Your pain is nearing an end!
For this fight, we'll use the Amulet of Great Tides. Equipping it by selecting the black side of the amulet gives us an absorb health spell, 10 to 30 points for 5 seconds, ultimately doing 100 points of damage. We're lucky to have it too, because Solari, being a master of illusion, not only paralyzes us, but also casts what I assume to be a high magnitude sanctuary effect on herself. And vengeance is ours. The nominal fee was used to give Circus a proper burial? Are you kidding me? Why didn't they just sell his armor to a fort? Oh, right. Moving on. Legend tells of a vampire living in the ruined city of Dun Akafel, but it may be more than just a legend. Akavoriok has a price on his head. Southwest of Akamora, past the in-between, is the ruined, sprawling metropolis of Dun Akafel. And boy, is sprawling not an over-exaggeration. We go through the entrance at the back of a narrow ravine, and emerge inside a tiny cave system, the sunken remnants of part of this city. Reminiscent of Old Mournhold, isn't it? It has vampires instead of goblins. We cut through a number of these bloodsuckers until we arrive at another door, leading out of the ruins. It appears to be on the other side of the ravine, but it doesn't seem to amount to much. Maybe we missed something. This corridor leads to the backside of Waterfall, a very video game of them. Oh, it's not all subterranean. Wow. Yeah, there's something about this place. I've brought it up on stream multiple times, and it's still a feeling I struggle to describe. Environments like this in video games are uncanny, but in a good way. It's ruined, it's desolate, it's the corpse of a world long forgotten. But it feels okay. It's not sad. There's a strange comfort in the finality of it all. A commenter described it as a hospice patient coming to terms with their mortality and spending their last few days in comfort. I get the same feeling from Dark Souls 1, but not Dark Souls 2 and 3. Nier from 2010 also gives me this feeling. It's like satisfaction in knowing that there's no hope, which sounds incredibly bleak, I'll admit. But there's something nice about certainty, even if it's an unfortunate certainty. Dun Akafel feels like this. You know of any other games that evoke this emotion? This would be an easier question to answer if I had a better explanation for the feeling. It's almost like nostalgia and deja vu. It's a homesickness you think you felt before, but you never actually did. Ah, this is one of Akavoriok's enthralled cattle. We must be close to the vampire himself. Yep, here he is. Akavoriok says he knew we would come, and he seems to know who Lalalvo is, quite well enough to call her a venomous harridan. The hell's a harridan? I'm not referring to some mortal bit. Oh, Akavoriok, so naughty. I wonder who he was referring to, though. Mysterious.
Enough. I hear.
Well, I expected more. The Mercy mod should prevent some NPCs from surrendering. Vampires shouldn't surrender. I'm taking his pants. Ebony Greaves. For slaying this legendary vampire, we're awarded with a dagger. It fortifies armorer by 14 points for 30 seconds. What the hell, Alavo? What am I supposed to do with this garbage? Moving on, the Fighters Guild has been contracted to locate Sorrel Volane and return her to Akamora. Lavaine Aranim, Sorrel's adoptive mother, is beside herself. It's not out of the ordinary for Sorrel to go off on her own and wander in the mountains, but she's been gone for quite a while now. Lavaine gives us permission to search her daughter's room to find anything that might give us a hint where she was heading. You can look in the closet, the dresser, and all over the room, but you won't find an inkling if you don't look up. She left a hand-drawn map above her bed detailing a vague path out of Akamora, beyond the egg mines, across a bridge, and below what appears to be a massive statue to Mephala. The Daedric text reads Valley of Mephala and Shambalu. Lavaine always took the place to be a myth, but whether it's real or not, it must be where Sorrel was heading, and it's where we're going as well. Yeah, I got lost for a good 20 minutes trying to find a footpath to this bridge. I gave in and bought more levitation potions. That's the statue of Mephala. Must have been jealous of Azura's statue in Vardenfell. Shambalu, a Daedric ruin hidden in a forest valley. How mystical. Fair warning, this place is a shrine to Mephala, so it's full of Dredrea, spider Daedra. Centaurs, basically, but with spiders instead of horses. Just a heads up, if you're scared of spiders, these might be a little unsettling for you. I'll let you know when we're done. Oh, what the who are you? Poison and blind? Damn. Jeez, these Daedra are tanky. Hern. The hell is a Hern? Oh, it's from Battlespire, of course. Possibly Hircine associated? Oh no, what is this thing? Morphoid. What is this, Power Ranger's ass? Yup, Battlespire. Oh, is this Sorrel? Did she get sucked by a spider? Oop, the skeleton has a Mage's Guild book, so probably not Sorrel. And this is just a poem or something. Damn it, I'm literally trapped in a spider web. Good thing I've got some Rising Force potions. Here's progress. It's like wandering into a Minecraft bastion. Oh, look, a elf. Sorrel, is that you? Oh, whoa, what? I'm taking damage. What's happening? Just run away, run backwards. Potions. Holy shit. That's a lot of spider ladies. The Hellfire Scroll. Oh my god. Were we supposed to die? Okay, who's this really? Oh, it is Sorrel. The hell's going on? By the way, there won't be any more Dredrea. Sorrel reveals the guild has been plotted against all along. She wasn't kidnapped, but instead left her foster parents to come to the house of her true mother and father. Mephala is known as the Androgyne after all. Androgyne? Androgyne? Androgel? Sorrel is an agent of Mephala. She says Mephala is angered by the presence of the Fighters Guild, an imperial institution in her domain. The prince refuses to lose the souls of her people. Mephala wanted to see if the guild would change their rigid ways. Perhaps we would extend mercy to Omulendu, betraying the guild. Instead, we mindlessly followed orders. It was all a test, and although Mephala appreciates that we didn't kill Akavoriok's thralls, she's still disappointed. Sora won't return to Akamora with us, even if we threaten her. She does offer to teleport us back to Akamora, but by asking her what the catch is, she rescinds the offer and tells us to leave. Perhaps it's for the best, because there may be some interesting loot in this shrine. Faustus Cicero has some medium armor he isn't using, and on the nearby dais is a Master Mortar and Pestle and the Ebony Blade, just sitting here. Absorb health 5 to 10 points for 15 seconds and 15 seconds of silence. Might be worth pivoting to Longblade from Axe, just use this baby. We explained to Lilalvo everything that happened. It was all one of Mephala's schemes. What a little scamp. For helping the guild pull through this little episode, we're given the left gauntlet of shield bearing. It's basically nothing. I spent the next 30 or so minutes running around the different mainland cities trying to find certain spells, enchantable gear, and whatnot. It took some time. But I bought some soul trap scrolls, I found a scroll to summon a Frost Atronach, and I captured it in a Greater Soul Gem. We'll use it to make a pair of jumpy shoes, 100 points of feather and 100 points of jump for 1 second each. The feather makes our jumps better. 20 points of strength would be equivalent to 100 bramble plinths of carry capacity, but 100 points of feather reduces the ratio between our current carry weight and our max carry weight. That is what affects your movement speed, the ratio. We recoup the cost of the enchantment by selling the enchanter a bunch of the expensive loot we found on our adventure. And to make a second enchantment, we buy a summon scamp spell from the nearby spell vendor, spell make an easier to cast version of it, and capture its soul. The soul will be used to make an instant cast slowfall spell. 1 point for 5 seconds. It's so we don't die after using our jumping shoes. Super jumping is so fun. The next Fighters Guild chapter to tackle is in Almas Thirr, an extra long canton that doubles as a bridge across the Thirr River. Half of it is a Vivec-like canton, and the other half is an open-air canton. It's a cool city. All the cities in Tamriel Rebuilt are cool. They all feel unique. I love Morrowind, but some of the cities are forgettable. Margan is just outrun without the giant crab corpse house. Jabaska is our taskmaster. He's a former mercenary who's using the rivalry between House Hlaalu to the west and House Indoril to the east to make copious amounts of gold. He advances us to the rank of defender, and then gives us our first mission. Kill the mercenary Crito Vinipter. Crito, not Boss Crito from Arkingdan, was hired by the Hlaalu to deal with an Indoril agent. This didn't sit well with Indoril Ilvi, but the Morak Tong is unable to do this job. The Fighters Guild can, though, apparently. Outlanders are free to kill each other with impunity. That might not be actually true, but I wouldn't put that past the Dunmer.
Die, scoundrel! Speak, traveler.
It's convenient that simply mentioning we're here to kill him turns this encounter into self-defense. In his defense, if somebody said they were here to kill me, I'd probably try to defend myself too. But the law doesn't see it that way, and we get away with murder. Do you think Morrowind has a corpse cleanup service? Dead guys certainly can't be good for business, but Morrowind is weird. Jabaska pays us 500 gold, and would now like us to collect on a debt. A docile Drineth borrowed from a member of House Hlaalu, but she's on the Indoril side of the Thirr, and members of House Hlaalu have trouble crossing the river. Encroaching upon another house's territory could cause problems. We go to Vul, east of Almas Thirr, and coerce a docile for her payment by throwing her some bribes. Jabaska lets us keep half of what we collected, which means the person who hired the guild to collect the debt isn't gonna get the full debt. I wonder how much of the actual debt... Do they have to pay more to collect the debt? Oh, unless, of course, maybe the Fighters Guild just purchased the debt for pennies on the dollar, and now they're going to collect it. I really wish I could take a look at these guilds' financial statements. Next, Jabaska tells us that the good people of the Yellow Party, members of House Hlaalu, are interested in buying Urvis Delveni's land. Urvis refuses to sell his land, and the guild was commissioned to convince him, either through diplomacy or violence. His shack is west of Old Ebonheart, along the coast of the Inner Sea. Killing him would be easy, but that feels out of character for the Fighters Guild. Maybe being on the mainland grants the guild more leeway. The Empire does seem to have less influence on the mainland. They may have plenty guilds, but they don't have very many settlements. Boosting his disposition over 90 seems to do it. Urvis agrees to sell his land, and Jabaska pays us 500 gold. Our next job is a bit of light grave robbing. A noble from House Hlaalu would like the Ring of Lifebloom, and it's currently interred in the Sarvain Ancestral Tomb. The Indoril are a religious bunch, and they guard ancestral tombs with zeal, so we'd best not draw attention to ourselves on the way there. It's not far north of the city of Amra. I'm glad we picked up some Ondusi's unhinging scrolls a while back. The ring is behind a level 50 lock. Fortify health 50 points and fatigue 100 points. 10 seconds each. Neat. We can't keep it though. Another 1,000 gold in our pocket, and another set of orders for us to execute. We must take care of the slaves on the Laren farm. Clients from House Indoril would like us to disrupt business at the Laren farm. We can do this by either killing or freeing 2 of their slaves. They're innocent bystanders in all this, so we'll free them. But to do that, we'll need the key. The key is on the desk in the farmhouse, but the owners of the farm keep patrolling like Hyrule Castle guards. Our best option is to hide behind this pillar, cast telekinesis, and swipe it before they creep up the stairs. We kill the slave overseer, accruing only a 40 gold bounty because assault is a crime, but murder isn't if you leave no witnesses, I guess. The slaves ain't gonna knock on us. With the overseer dead, we free the slaves and return to Almas Thirr to collect our 500 gold reward. The final contract Jabaska has for us is another hit job. No, Chipmunk, not you. Argo Hlon must die. He's a threat to both traveling merchants and traveling pilgrims alike, making him a target of both House Hlalu and House Indoril. We sail to Hlan Oak and, oh my god, an NPC that's bald and has no eyebrows. I feel so seen. Anyway, we hop southeast until we arrive at the old stronghold of Othrano. Bear trap. I wonder how much damage it does. Oh, oof, a lot. We'll just avoid that.
Your pain is nearing an end.
Oops. I found a silver saber. We'll use it to train Longblade. The ebony blade would kill enemies too fast, so we'd get in fewer hits, which means less XP. That's a really cool looking shield. It's basically the same as what we've been using, but in a different style. I suspect this is the boss. Wow. It's a blessing that we can drink potions while knocked down. But it'd be even better if arrows didn't stun lock us. This dork is gonna heal forever. We're taking his glass pauldron and glass bow. We'll keep the former and sell the latter. For a job well done, Jabaska rewards us with 1,500 gold and an ebony right bracer. He's got nothing more for us. Before heading off to the next guild hall, we're going to do a bit more enchanting, but we need extra capital. Even though we collected a fair bit of gear from Othrano, there aren't that many vendors that I'm aware of with a large gold pool. Instead, we can create a money printing factory right here in the Firewatch Mages Guild. Ainsa sells restocking lesser soul gems and has a gold supply of 1,100 septums. We enchant a ring with Summon Scamp for 9 seconds and Soul Trap for 9 seconds on target. The Scamp appears instantly, but the Soul Trap effect takes a moment to travel, meaning every Scamp we summon, assuming we aim correctly, comes pre-Soul Trapped, effectively. We one-shot it with our axe, and can sell the soul gem with its soul in it for a maximum of 3,000 septums. Since it's free money, we give this little Khajiit a great deal and sell it for only 1,100 gold. Then we wait a day and do it again. With the extra gold, we enchant the bracers we got from Jabaska with a 100-point open spell. Never hurts to have. And we recoup the cost by selling glass gear and scamp souls. Finally, after farming more scamps, we enchant our stolen adamantium helm with a constant effect. In the old Ebonheart Mages Guild, there's a grand soul gem with a golden saint in it, just sitting on a shelf. Obviously, I stole it with telekinesis. Restore 1 to 3 points of health, constant effect. Unlike fortify enchantments, restore effects constantly recalculate their magnitude between the minimum and maximum. So this effect should average out to 2 points of healing per second, in perpetuity. Helnim's next, and we couldn't ask for better weather. Hartis is the head of things around here. She starts off by advancing us to the rank of warder, before sending us to pull Joran back into the fold. He ran off to work for the Zephyrbell Bay Company, but he's one of the guild's finest warriors, and Hartis can't afford to lose him. Helnim is just outside of Telvanni Tower, Tel Gillen, so the guild gets a lot of contracts from Master Darithi, but Joran is sick of being sent into dangerous places on the whims of a senile wizard. If the guild can promise him more reasonable work, he'd be willing to come back. Larias Batale, a local merchant, could use a guard for his shop, but he needs to be convinced to contract with the guild. We throw some money at him, our scamp gotten gains, and he agrees. You can never be too careful with all these wizards about, whatever that means. Jorn accepts the offer, and Hartis pays us 300 gold for the effort. Another fighter is MIA, but this one went missing while out on a job. Just a day ago, Arfil was sent to clear out cultists from the ruins of Ald-Marathi, and he's yet to return. If we can save him, we must. If we can't, then we've got to finish up the job he failed to do. Oh, he's fine. Arfil is motionless and does not speak. Idiot got cursed. We might be able to fix this, but we don't need these Daedra pestering us the whole time. Now that everyone's dead, by exploring the shrine, we find a convenient scroll of corrupt arcanics under the statue to Mehrunes Dagon. Dispel 150 to 240% in 10 feet on target. We cast it on Arfil, and he breaks free from his petrified state. He had tried to turn invisible and sneak up on the cultists, but the scrolls he used had malfunctioned and froze him in place for an entire day. We let him know the shrine is already cleared out, and then return to Hartis to let her know the Wood Elf is safe. The faulty scrolls came from Master Darithi in Tel Gillen, so Hartis would like us to head over there and get a refund. Master Nisa Darithi is at the top of his quite spacious mushroom tower, of course, so we jump with ludicrous speed, dig our head into the roof for a bit, and then land safely nearby. Because Telvanni wizards are fragile little things, we can't outright accuse him of making faulty scrolls. Rather, we have to ask for a refund, at which point he realizes the mistake and reimburses us adequately. Hartis then gives us a scroll of Evekian touch because we're needed at the Tel Gillen egg mine. The Kwama Queen is blighted and needs a quick cure. The miners couldn't do that, apparently. Ew, what is this? Parastylus? The Swiss alchemist? The involuntary contraction of esophageal muscles? Oh, are those meaty bones? No, it's just Kwama phlegm? Be cleansed. Good girl. Rethin Verelnim is a sorcerer hiding out in Razmataz, Yaztarams, and Master Darithi would like to see him locked up in a cell. Quite merciful for a Telvanni, if you ask me. Beyond the robots and up the ladder, we find not only our target, but also a friggin' Dark Brotherhood assassin. I was gonna say I'm surprised assassins followed us here, but I realize now we're actually closer to Mournhold than we would be if we were in Vardenfell, or at least on the same landmass. This guy obviously doesn't want to go to jail, and in Telvanni fashion, he tries to kill us.
Die, Fetcher.
We have to be careful not to damage him too much, otherwise we can't return him to Tel Gillen alive. That means no ebony sword. First try. We escort our prisoner out of the ruins where Hermea Artea, another guild member, is waiting to collect him. She'll take him the rest of the way. Gulchka is a winged twilight that Saruz Evanas, a mage in Tel Gillen, contracted the Fighters Guild to kill. Why? Who knows? It's northeast of the Telvanni village of Marog, in a cavern called Galsea. It's on the coast south of the Helnim lighthouse. Crystals. Here there be wizards. Oh my god, stop paralyzing me. Wow. Level 11. Yeah, I haven't really made much note of the levels that we've been getting. It's not that important. The Winged Twilight is at the end of the dungeon. She's tanky but weak, so we can use her for a good bit of Longblade training. Also, there's an enchanted glass spear here. Easy money. Sarus offers us gold or a helm as a reward. The helm is just a devil helm. Someone's gauntlets. Yeah. Who cares? We take the gold. The final duty Hartis has for us is fixing a mistake. Master Darithi now wants Rethin Verelnim freed from prison, and he wants us to instead kill Nelereth Selen at his Tower of Asur Balhad. Darithi would also like us to collect the letters he wrote to the two of them. Let's do a bit more enchanting first. I want to sell this glass stuff. We have a Summon Golden Saint Scroll. I found it in one of those wizard caves. And we also have a Grand Soul Gem. To get the most from this Golden Saint, we'll not only trap it, but we'll save Scum until it spawns with a Daedric Tower Shield. Not because I want to enchant the shield specifically, but because it's just a good shield.
You seem like very good company.
With a bit more money made from soul-trapping scamps, we have enough to enchant an extravagant shirt with a constant restore fatigue effect, 1 to 20 points. We'll effectively be healing 10 points of fatigue per second, every second. Running won't drain our fatigue, so we should always enter combat with full fatigue. Back to the quest. We have a few options for breaking Rethin out of prison. Kill the guard, bribe the guard, or just pick the lock on the door. After we escort him outside, he offers to prepare us a little trinket for this act of kindness, even though we put him in this position in the first place. He'll also explain exactly what happened here. Aster Balhead sounds like a Daedric ruin, but it's actually a Velothi tower filled with Daedra. Our target is upstairs in this spacious loft. I'm sure the interest rate on his mortgage would be atrocious if he hadn't financed this place with violence. Looks like he couldn't afford the HOA fee. I don't own a house, I don't know if that tracks. The letter Darithi wrote to Nelereth is commending him on his Dwemer research. But if we return to Rethin's tower and peek at the letter on his wardrobe, Darithi writes that Varelnim's summoning needs practice. The spirits he sends to Tel Gillen are easily dispatched by his guards. It seems Darithi got the two elves confused. Varelnim is the Dwemer researcher, and Nelereth was the disgruntled student. Oh, what a silly case of mistaken identity. These Telvanni, so spacey. For helping him out, Varelnim gives us a present. A dwarven warhammer that does 25 points of shock damage on touch and 25 points of fire damage on self. Won't be too bad for a Dunmer. We're not a Dunmer, so it's awful. He can keep it. For bringing both letters back to Darithi, he gives us his Ring of Lunacy. It fortifies attack by 20 points, constant effect, at the cost of hitting us with 50 points of sound. Sound makes spellcasting harder, but that's not that big of a deal for us. Oh, I didn't realize that's what sound did. That's annoying. That's really annoying. No wonder why it makes casting harder. Here's an idea. Resist Magicka. 100% for 1 second placed on a wizard robe. It only costs 7k. Excellent. 20 points of attack without the drawbacks of 50 points of sound. Onward to Firewatch. This is an imperial port city situated on the northernmost tip of the mainland's eastern side, right in the middle of Telvanni territory. Permal Dankonis handles the orders round these parts. First, he promotes us to the rank of Guardian, and then tells us to help Murdon Dilmoon get even with a couple business partners who cheated him. He made a deal with a couple locals for a shipment of Kwama eggs, but they went back on the deal and decided to sell to the East Empire Company instead. We confront the pair, and somehow they think it's alright to not refund Murdon his payment. Since we're level 11, we can just intimidate them and get the money. Next, we must protect the apothecary Mist-Eyes. Some Argonian, Salaraz, arrived in town and has been skulking around outside Mist-Eyes' shop. We talk to Salaraz, who claims Mist-Eyes is wanted out of Cyrodiil for murder. I don't have time for this. A fellow guild member is in danger. Mashug Grodugal was supposed to eliminate a necromancer holed up in Nasudan, but he's yet to return. Is that Moshug Grodugal? Could have sworn he'd be a high elf. He already killed the necromancer, but got stuck in a trap in the process. When he moves off this central platform, a magical barrier covers the exit. The intended way of saving him is going into the necromancer's magic zombie dungeon, commanding one of the undead, leading it upstairs, and paralyzing it on the platform. This lowers the barrier, allowing both you and Mashug to escape. We don't have a command scroll, but we do have that scampering. We didn't have to save the orc, but it seemed like the right thing to do. Next, we need to stop a robbery at Jane Olivia's shop in Nivalis. She wants us to wait in her shop until midnight and catch the burglar in the act. I screwed up, I guess. Too high up on the stairs. Oops. Doesn't matter, though. We get less gold as a reward, but gold is trivial. Caladia Nellis has a stalker, Garulus Merrill. Permal says we're free to kill the outlaw as long as we do it outside the city. Or, we can raise his disposition, convince him that the amulet of Nellis's fury, the thing he thinks Caladia has, is actually in the hands of a ship captain in Nivalis. We escort Garulus to the Northfly, get the ship key from the captain, and lead the stalker into this tiny cabin below decks. We leave the room, lock the door behind us, and return to the Fighters Guild. Caladia can breathe a sigh of relief. It would have just been easier to kill him. That's the last order Permal has for us. He tells us Master Brant has some tasks for us, but he only has 3. Instead, we're going to Andothren. In retrospect, I should have saved Andothren for last, but I didn't realize how underwhelming Brant's duties were going to be, so... Andothren. Largest Hlalu city along the Inner Sea. Not the largest Hlalu city overall, but still pretty big. Our first task is simple. Neris Hardil orders us to collect Hjaskar's debt. He owes 500 gold to the guild's client and is weeks overdue. We find him loitering on the wharf, and when confronted, he says he doesn't have the gold, so he can't pay. All he has is 250 septims, but if we come back in a week, he promises he'll have the rest. And if you can't trust a random Nord on the dock, who can you trust? After bringing the initial 250 gold to the guild, Neris sends us back to collect the rest because Morrowind is an all-or-nothing world. When we return to the docks, we find Hjaskar has skipped town. We couldn't collect the full debt. It can't be helped. Neris lets us keep half the half. Next, he'd like us to find a stolen mirror. For content that was added super recently, you'd think these quests would be more interesting, right? I expected more from Andothren. Oh, woe is me. I'm foreshadowing via irony. Oveno Mithrion swears her mirror was stolen by a cliff racer. A cliff racer? Stealing mirrors? That's crazy. It's in this nest. This cliff racer is even called Thieving Cliff Racer. Its path was set the day it was born. Poor thing.
Outlander, what do you want?
There's a side quest we could go on, discovering who trained the cliff racer, but it doesn't matter. Ovenal is just happy to have her mirror back. A former member of the guild is wanted for murder. What a scoundrel! Being a member of the Fighters Guild and murdering people? We're to find and kill Darvis Dreth. That name, Dreth, sounds familiar. It's probably a coincidence. We find him outside the Vathras plantation, south of Andothren, camping out with one Jubal Orda. If we ask him about Darvis, he tells us that the two of them had partnered up just recently. It's strictly a financial thing. They were planning on going together and finding work as caravan guards, but now learning that Darvis has a price on his head, Jubal no longer wants to continue this business relationship. He offers to help take Darvis down, but we can handle it on our own.
But we'll die.
This kill is worth 1,000 gold. A pack of Alit have been harassing the townspeople of Manan, and the governor needs something done about it. We arrive in the little town and meet with the governor, and she tells us there's a Khajiit scout, Dara, who lives just outside the town walls. Dara can lead us to the Alit's den. Once the beasts are dead, we're to report back to the governor. But she has another proposition for us. Off the books. There's an additional 1,000 gold in it for us if something should happen to Dara while we're out of town. Dara has a right to live in Manan. She has settler documents from the Imperial Commission. Nothing the elves do can get her to leave willingly. So in typical Dunmer fashion, when you can't get a person to do what you want, instead of reevaluating and maybe just trying to get over your dislike of the person, you try to get him killed. We tell Dara that the governor wants her dead, but she still agrees to lead us to the Alit. Manan is her home, and she's resolute to defend it. Quite the commendable little kitty. The Alit are trivial. Our reward is reduced because we refused to betray an innocent Khajiit, and this angered the governor. But who really cares? Hlalu sucks. Neris has another hit for us. I swear, the Fighters Guild is just the Dark Brotherhood with a few fetch quests here and there. Molsa Urvethi is a former agent of House Hlalu and has been selling secrets to House Redoran. She's hiding somewhere out west in the city of Bodrum. Oh, where would you like to go? Oh. Our target is in the Varularan Trade House.
You may speak.
Oh, hey, Jubal, my dude. How's it going, man? How have you been? Anyway, if we raise Tull's Varularan's disposition and ask about Molsa, he'll just hand over her room key because, you know, why respect your client's privacy? And this allows us to... Oh, she's already dead. Man, I'm good. By not lying, we only get a fraction of the bounty. But like I said earlier, gold doesn't matter. The last order Neris has for us was contracted by Tholar Andis himself, the big cheese in Andothren, the guy living in the big estate on the hill. Andis's concierge, Ulvis Ules, fills us in on the details of this task. A courier in Andis's employ was to deliver a special map to the estate, but was kidnapped by a group of bandits on the way. Anbernag Gromuk, one of the bandits, arrived in Andothren demanding a ransom, but Andis is a ruthless man and doesn't do business with people who steal from him. He imprisoned the orc in the sewers. We meet with the orc, show him the 5,000 gold ransom, and get him to spill the location of the kidnapped courier. His brother is holding his hostage atop a collapsed bridge outside the ruins of Maveltinth Shell, south of Bodrum. Garanag Gromuk is waiting at the edge of the bridge with the courier, and before we even get within 50 feet of him, he calls out for us to stop. Another step, and the courier goes over. We promise him, if he releases the courier, he'll get the gold, and his brother will be freed. Then we kill him. Since the courier can't be trusted with a map, we take it from him and return to Ulvis Ules, earning an easy 2,500 gold. The swift success of this job has impressed Tholar Andis, and he'd like to meet with us personally. He looks like Aang. From now on, we'll be taking orders directly from him. He recently acquired an Imperial penal mine, the Ushu Kur mine. and needs some mercenaries to help get it up and running. The map we retrieved for him is actually a geological survey detailing the location of a great big iron vein on his hip somewhere in the area around the mine. It's a long way southwest of Anderthren in the Ashlands west of Arvud. It's like a little Vardenfell away from Vardenfell. The mine overseer, Gelvu— Oh, shit! Jubble! Dude! Oh, it's great to see a friendly face this far from civilization. Anyway, the mine overseer, Gelvuandus, Thorlandus' cousin, is having trouble with an Ashlander hunter wandering around outside the mine. Manit Pal is ranting and raving about us Outlanders defiling the sacred caverns of Ushu-Kur. He says this ancient site is holy to the Ishanur and Ashlanders. The easy path would be to kill this guy. The path we'll take, however, is visiting the Ishanaran wise woman. Manit Pal, it seems, misinterpreted the tribe's oral histories. Ushu-Kur isn't sacred, it's taboo. It's to be avoided by all Ishanuran. Manit Pal must leave. By bribing the wise woman, she'll reveal that the caverns are the prison burial of Ushu-Dimmu, a death-fearing soul thief who sought to extend his life by any means necessary. Using dark magics, he consumed the lives of his fellow tribesmen, becoming nigh unkillable by normal means. To defeat him, the remaining Ishanuran lured him deep into the caverns and sealed him away. Well, that was ages ago. He's probably dead by now. No soul to eat in the mine. After telling Manit Pal the truth about this place, he wanders off back to his camp, and the mine can get back up and running. But there's another kink in the productivity hose. Ilvis Cleary, a caravaner, was supposed to deliver raw iron to Anderthren, but instead sold it elsewhere. Andis doesn't suffer treachery. Cleary must die. We find the fiend southeast of the mine at the Amun Pass outpost. He begs us to forgive him. He'll even tell us where to recover the stolen iron. But this isn't just about the iron. An example must be made.
You Inwa. To me.
And would you believe it? Now the miners are revolting. And also they refuse to work. They want to be paid with actual gold, not Hlalu fund bucks that can only be redeemed at the mine's ticket counter. Gelvu is even willing to triple the miners' fund bucks if they get back to work immediately. Trier, the leader of this worker revolt, still won't budge, but a little bit of Mazte coerces Algus to have a more open-minded conversation, so long as we're out of earshot from Trier. Algus is a bit nervous about this place, thinks it's haunted by ghosts. We assuage his concerns. Ghosts or no, mining is dangerous regardless, and with the offer of triple fund bucks on the table, he agrees to go against Trier and get back to work expanding the mine. We speak with the other miners and get them to turn against Trier as well, giving the man no choice. He accepts the deal, and the project continues. Gelvu would now like us to oversee the expansion into the northern mine shaft. This doesn't look like an iron mother lode. Mummy lode, maybe. Gelvu tells us not to concern ourselves with it. Okay, instead she'd like us to report back to Thorlandus and tell him about the newly discovered burial chamber. With the mine now expanded, Thorlandus reveals that the map wasn't leading to a massive iron vein. It was a map to the very burial chamber of the mighty Ushu-Dimmu. Tholar wants the cursed crown of Ushu-Dimmu. Why? He's rich, probably for bragging rights, or he's gonna grind it up into a powder and turn it into paint, or he's gonna eat it. That's the thing people actually did with Egyptian mummies. That's not even an exaggeration. Rich people are friggin' nuts. He pays us 5,000 gold up front, and he'll give us another 5,000 after we get the crown. While we were traveling back from Anderthren, the miners made further progress into the tomb, clearing out the rocks blocking the main chamber. Why is it so warm in here? See? Told you he'd be dead. Let's bring this back to Tholar and get our final paycheck. With the crown in hand, Tholar no longer has any need for the mine. He gives us a letter containing the order to close it down. We are to bring it to Gelvuandus. Her services, too, are no longer needed. Whoa! Huh. So this is Ushu-Dimmu. He's 5'3", several thousand years old, and enjoys long rots in the crypt. He wants his crown back. Being immortal ain't what it's cracked up to be, and the crown keeps him in a death-like state so he doesn't have to suffer the pain of his decrepit body. Everyone else in the mine is currently dead or something in between life and death. I don't go back on my deals. If he hated being immortal, why would he bother fighting back? That would be a pretty interesting end to this entire adventure, but Gallant Brant in Firewatch has 3 more duties for us. They aren't super interesting though, and I didn't realize that until I did them, so pretend the killing of Ushu-Dimmu was our magnum opus. And these next few duties are just us doing Brant a solid. This is the denouement. First, there's a bounty on a marauder named Gamrus Silni. We can find him where you find most bandits and marauders, at an abandoned stronghold. I mentioned this in a previous video. Tamriel Rebuilt adds pieces of armor that make a set with the cuirass of the Savior's Hide. Gamrus has both pauldrons. 5% resist magicka on each. Now he needs us to help out some nerd archaeologists moored outside the Dwemer ruins of Manrizak. Salius needs us to enter the flooded ruins, make it into the Hall of Arthand, and disable the Dwemer constructs within. Huh, an airlock. Ow. Finally, Brant would like us to do what's probably the least interesting quest in the world. Negotiate some contracts. Miss Dyes wants 4 helpings of Dwemer scrap metal, which I should have picked up back in Manrizak. Jen Olivia overheard an adventurer talking about a treasure in the Ashurn Asadis grotto. He never returned, so she'd like us to check the caverns for the raw gold he claimed to be there. And Valvius doesn't actually want anything. He tells us about a glass die katana. If we're interested in getting it, we can get it, but we're not. So, yeah, that's it. What an anticlimactic end. Brant gives us an unenchanted Nordic silver axe for this last duty. Should have stopped with Andithran. Thanks again to Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Use the promo code JBN or use the link in the description or pinned comment to get 10% off your next order.